Right, it's another episode of the Vibely Podcast. My name is Kofi Tagbo, and in the studios at CSM Studios, we have some popular faces. You know, you can't talk about the actors of Accra without these people, and allow them to introduce themselves, and then we'll tell you why we are here today. So yeah, we'll start from the ladies first. All right, so tell us your name and then we'll go to the next person. Oh, and who you are. Let them know you.
My name is Angela Ali. I'm the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ali.
I see. All right, so you also introduce.
Okay, so I'm Charles McOdoy. And what do I do? I run a travel agency that's mostly into faith-based pilgrimages. Yeah, so next year, for instance, the Jubilee year of Hope, I think so, yeah. Get a lot more Ghanaians going. Yeah. But I think that's not the reason why we are here.
No, actually, it's related.
Oh, it is. But we'll come there.
Yeah.
Since it's mentioned is into travel and tour.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So that's Dr. Angela. Right, so today we're talking about pilgrimages. We saw one lady called Esther who went to, was it Jerusalem or Israel? She takes videos. PSC Esther.
Oh, really? She did something like that?
She did something like that, praying for people, for Saka screen. Today we're talking about pilgrimages and how they improve our Catholic faith. How does pilgrimages improve our Catholic faith? Does it at all? Right. So that is our conversation for the day. And we have two people who are the people I've introduced. They are gurus when it comes to Catholic pilgrimages. Gurus when it comes to Catholic pilgrimages. And so we couldn't have called any other person. In fact, this Charles cannot boast of pilgrimages when these people are. So yeah, we'll start with Dr. Angela. Angela, tell us, what is pilgrimage? What's pilgrimage? Like what's a pilgrimage? What's a pilgrimage? You have to talk a little louder because you are very loud on the media.
So it's a journey that's usually taken for the purpose of faith, right? And maybe if you'd want to go a little bit into that, since we are Catholic, I'm going to just maybe start from the Bible. So, for example, there were times like when you check the book of Tobit, he talks about going back to Jerusalem. So that was something that God required of the Jews. I think even at Pentecost, there were so many people there because they had come on pilgrimage. So they had to actually come there. We can talk about other situations like, think in the time of Hannah, Shiloh was actually a place that they had to make pilgrimage to. That was where they used to have to go and then pray. And then I think you can even talk about Elijah when he was facing like that situation, like he was so scared. Literally, he went to the mountain of Horeb to go and meet God. So main reasons would be for the purpose of encounter, place of prayer, and then as a requirement, as God had given to the Israelites. And then if you even check the stories of the kings, like most of those who came in the northern kingdom, one of the reasons why, should I say, they didn't want, after their kingdom was divided, right, they set up altars of their own where people could now go to the pilgrimage instead of going to Jerusalem, because from a political perspective, if your people are always going somewhere else to pray, obviously their allegiance would go to those places. And then that was one of the things that God always held against them too, right? So in a sense, it can also be something that may be, okay, let's not go there at all. And then I think from all of these stories that we've spoken about, right, it's usually a place where you pray and then a place of encounter as well. Because for Hannah, that became the place that she literally was able to pour out her heart to God for her heart's desire of her son, right? And then after that, maybe many even more children that she had afterwards. Elijah encountered God, and then he was given specific messages, like he had Elisha to take over his role. He appointed a new king for Syria, and then even a new king for Israel. And then I think you can also talk about Tobit, like he was considered a faithful Jew because he always used to do that. And then you also have the Jubilee years that literally were also an opportunity for people to go back to their heritage, for the land to even enjoy the rest and all. And then even in modern times, right, we still have the Jubilee years. I think 2016 was an extraordinary like Jubilee, but then you have an actual Jubilee coming up next year, 2025. And then apart from that as well, in many parishes, usually where there has been maybe an encounter, so perhaps some people might have had apparitions. Yes, people may have had visions. There might have been an apparition that can also be declared a place of pilgrimage, so that it becomes a place where people come to pray and then come to have encounters with God. So there are always so many stories of miracles happening in those places. You can talk about Ruth, you can talk about Fatima, even we can talk about like our own Our Lady of Shy Hills in Ghana. We can talk about the grottos in the various places, like Christ the King grotto, like so many of them that are around. And I think that's one of the reasons why, as part of promoting like the first Friday devotion, like you have these days the pilgrimages happening on deanery um, aspects, and then on St. Thomas Aquinas Bible study, like that was just Saturday evening. I think as part of the gospel, Father Michael was reminding us about the importance of opportunities like this, where you go to rest and then refresh. Because it says if you keep doing that, like if you're running a marathon and you don't take breaks, you're just going to burn out.
Wow.
That was the end of my lecture.
Charlie, remind me not to engage a PhD holder. This is all. I don't even know what to ask you right now.
Everything has been answered.
What? So. Hey.
Then the last one, the World Youth Day part, right? So when the late Pope John Paul II was like a young priest, he used to organize encounters with young people where they would go away probably for like a weekend or something. And I think they basically used to refer to him as like an uncle sort of thing because of just how close they were. So when he became Pope, he decided to put that on a world stage and then literally set up the World Youth Days from about 1985, just so that youth could, from all over the world, could come together to also have that kind of encounter with God, just like in the regular pilgrimages that we've spoken about.
So it's like a weekend summit became World Youth Day because
Exactly.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. From explanation, I've come to understand that weekend summit, youth weekend summit, is a pilgrimage. So the church should allow the youth to go on such pilgrimages. That is what I've come to realize. That yes, youth weekend summit, from your explanation, makes it look for a place where we encounter God. And that is why I encountered God in 2019.
Are you the host or you are now like a resource person?
So as I was saying, right?
I know.
We are. It's weekend summit, not a pilgrimage, from your explanation. Yes. So it can be. What will be some of the pilgrimages? I mean, in modern context, in Ghanaian context, what are some of the pilgrimages we as Ghanaians are exposed to?
Okay, I think let me just. I think she left one popular pilgrimage. It's in Madrid. Called the
Camino
de Santiago. Yeah, I think it's about 600-kilometer walk. Yeah.
That's the way of St. James.
The way of 600. And it's and people who actually go for such pilgrimage always tell you that they get their prayers answered.
This one, God has to answer.
Yeah.
So man says 200 and something kilometers.
Yeah.
So that should, yes, tell the count. How they walk.
Yeah. You get people who walk. Okay, there are some who do not do all too. But there are some who.
Who actually walk?
Yes. They would, so they take. I mean, it takes months for them to do. It's in Madrid. It's beautiful. You need to experience it. Oh no, in 2013 in Rio, I met this Australian lady, and I think she wanted God to actually answer her prayers. I think she actually wanted to get married. So she understood that. I remember speaking to her once and she said, "Oh, she's in Madrid and I'm taking that walk."
No, on that walk, you meet that person you want to marry.
Yeah, so I mean, it's that beautiful. So
That's Madrid.
yes, when you do it, I mean, you can check the Sagrada Family Basilica in Barcelona too.
Oh, okay.
Very beautiful basilica. Our this thing wouldn't come. Our cathedral that hasn't come up wouldn't come.
I mean, a national cathedral.
Yes.
Hey, Charles.
Well, I'm telling you, if you've been there, I mean, it was started by Gaudi in the 18th. Yeah, in the 18th. I mean, he's an architect. He started. He's dead, and it's still ongoing.
Ah, no more, you know.
Yes.
Right. It has like so many towers.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll finish in 2026.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
2 years.
I think
Yeah.
it's estimated that the Pope would officially. I mean, if you see that basilica, you realize that what we are doing here. Also, the basilicas you would visit wouldn't be too nice. I mean, because everything is planned. Look, where they place a light is planned. I mean, there's a reason for placing that light over there at an angle that. Ah,
Engineers are at work.
Bonnie. Well, now you've taken us to Madrid.
yeah.
Bring us back to Ghana. Let's go to Ghana.
So I think in Ghana, one of maybe the main ones that come up are the ones surrounding Assumption, like in August, because we do have quite a number of Marian grottos in Ghana. So I think we have the Bomu in the Ashanti region. I think there's one in the Volta region. And I remember even in secondary school, we used to go for this one in the Eastern region. I can't for the life of me remember the name of it. But it's always like a time of prayer because it was something that we looked forward to, especially as a place that you were going to pray before you wrote like we wrote SSC.
Yeah, they wrote us.
I also wrote SSC.
Yeah, we wrote SSC.
Oh,
You
yeah.
wrote WASI.
I went to international school. We did A level.
Oh, Babe, man.
No, I'm a proud Gen Z, nigga. Proud.
Yeah. So someone would ask like, why waste so much money going all the way there when like I can just pray in my room? But I think like that statement that Jesus made that the poor would always be with you. So you would literally always have needs. But he mentioned that when the woman wiped his feet with like the expensive nard, that was always going to be remembered in like yes for as something that happened at the time of his maybe in the preparation for his death. And then no matter how, even though it was like it was very expensive, you could have used it for so many other things, but it was also very significant because guess what? Like the way his death happened, they couldn't do that. So that was the only time that was actually done. That his body was anointed before the death. Because by the time the women were going to anoint his body, he had resurrected already. So if you were going to wait for that, then you really wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that. So even though it's something that is maybe not very much our culture, okay, sorry, that doesn't appear to be our culture, right? It's something that is worth doing for us. Like other young people raise money to go on such pilgrimages. Sometimes even non-Christians, because a lot of these other places like Israel, Rome, and others, sometimes you meet atheists and then like they've actually gone for all of those places because in addition to maybe the faith aspect that we would talk about, even though they are places of pilgrimages, they are also places of beauty. So people go and see that. And even now, there's been this movement where somehow people have gone to those places because of the beauty, and they end up encountering God, even in those places of pilgrimage, even though that was not the reason why like they were going to those places.
I mean, just to add, I mean, I think Accra is starting this assumption.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
but I
yes,
think we are
yes.
starting on the deanery level. Yeah, so I think hopefully next year maybe we may all converge somewhere. I'm sure. I mean, they are still looking out for where we can.
Is it the same thing the US one state did that they were 55,000 in
No, that one was a Eucharistic Congress.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you see that also becomes like a form of,
yeah.
because literally it's just you coming to encounter the divine. So it's
I think we
also,
did ours the last time at Jessica. I think just before the COVID in 2019 or so. Yeah. So Eucharistic Congress. I mean, countries do it. So I think we did ours, if I'm not mistaken, in Jessica. Yeah, it was done. I think in 2019 or so.
There was a recent one on a daily level I know about.
Yes. I think was it this year or last year?
Was
Last year, right?
last but what we've seen on the internet is very beautiful.
yeah, it's amazing.
To know that Catholics outside, so you can you term that as a pilgrimage?
Yeah, I think even your regular like holy hour on Thursday is a pilgrimage.
Oh, so I
Even if
don't
I'm in
know
my
this.
home, and because now there are holy hours online. Even if I'm in my home and I'm participating in the holy hours, I
We've
can
already
attend.
said that those encounters are not those online encounters. We already said on this podcast. We justified it. That you have
Oh
to
pray,
be.
oh pray. You have a response person. Oh pray.
No.
Ah,
We have
we're talking about mass. We're not talking
No,
about that.
I think the one of the
silent.
reasons why let's say communion, I mean that you can have, let's say,
Spiritual community.
spiritual communion online, right? And then I was there that day when you guys were interviewing Father Baker, and he did mention that it's something that's become very useful, especially for homebound parishioners, because there was once I was I was sick, I couldn't go for mass. I think this was even before COVID. So it was literally my first time of watching online mass, and then I was glad there was such an opportunity, because like it was getting to the new year, and I'd never not gone for mass like at maybe New Year before. So I was very sad about it. So it was great to
Consolation.
have that
Yeah.
opportunity to just join mass online. Okay, I am not in any capacity to share to share,
But it
because
looks
I
like
think the only thing I would say was that, for example, for confession, they did mention that you couldn't have confession online, so you still had to go like in person. And I think even during COVID like this, at the youth center, like they used to have, maybe because of the very small chapel, I was home then, so it was always a great opportunity to find out like when they're having mass, you go and it's just a few of us. It was just such a beautiful like time of encounter. And I think I had never been so glad for it, because it was like you're stuck in the house, like there's no church, you're just watching it on TV. So it was always such a privilege to be able to
Be able to,
go
yeah.
and then join them for
So
mass there.
Kofi, I want to ask. So um in my work as a Catholic, um I think now we can put it in maybe in two groups. There's the local pilgrimages and there's the international pilgrimages. The local pilgrimages, as you have mentioned, there's the grottos, there's a boreholes, the local world days and all of that. I want to delve more into the international. World Day we know happens from parish, deanery, arch, national, worldwide. For somebody who hasn't been to that kind of pilgrimage before, what am I missing, or what does it add to my faith to be able to partake, in a pilgrimage like that? So I think that is one question that's always been on my mind. What are we missing? We those who have never had the opportunity to go on a pilgrimage like that.
well, okay. So actually, the first thing I thought is that look, this is a program that brings on the average about 2 million youth together. So imagine 2 million youth if Ghana is to host it, 2 million youth at a point in time would have to be in Accra. Uh-huh. We need to add up to our, I think already 6 million we have here in Accra.
Already congested Accra.
Exactly. So you realize that, well, possibly we may come to the last World Youth Day, but you realize that there are at times organizational challenges when it comes to the World Youth Day because look, it's not an easy number that you are working with.
2 million.
Even countries that have the space, look, you wouldn't have it easy. I think in Rio it was estimated to be about 3 million in Brazil.
For the
Wow.
final
Yeah,
mass.
at the Copacabana beach. So basically, the World Youth Day, it's a time when the Holy Father is calling all the young people in the world to come together. And you see, that's one of the beautiful things we have as Catholics. I'm wondering, I mean, with the exception of maybe the Hajj, but that one, it's not even concentrated on young Muslims. With the young people in the Catholic Church, have that opportunity to come together. Even if it's not the Holy Father who is calling us, we have the chance to come together to learn the culture of the country we have gone to also learn different cultures from people, other people you meet on the pilgrimage, and then to also, share our faith. You would think that we always say, oh, the church in Europe is dead, is dying. And look, when you encounter them and they are massive, look, they are that serious. They take the liturgy that serious. It's not like us that you find people playing with their phones while mass. No, you get them. Look, this is where the host is raised. The communion is raised. They you see some of them cry. And it is not something that you say it's fake tears. No. You'd realize that their faith, they don't joke with it. You also, of course, you are forced to eat their food. So, it's something that you'd have to try. And also, look, it helps you with, let's say, I won't say international connections, but for me now, if I want to travel to, any parts of Europe, and I do not want to even spend so much money on accommodation and stuff.
Yeah.
Our people I could call easily and they would host me. It's not so much of a problem. They also tell you, you develop a family. So now, let's say I have a family in Poland that from time to time I speak to. I have a family in Panama because, and now let me give you what the program is like when you go for the World Youth Day. So when they say the World Youth Day, okay, let me use the next one. It's being hosted by Seoul. Seoul is the capital, yes, of South Korea. Yeah. So it's given to South Korea. But the World Youth Day is divided into two. So there's what they call the mission days. There's what they call the main World Youth Day. So the mission days is when you stay with families.
But Charles, remember that is also a function of availability because remember, even for the World Youth Day Ghana version, like this, when it came to Accra, it wasn't everyone who got to stay with a family.
Yes, you don't let me use our
No,
local
and
way
then
of.
even this time last year when we went to when we went to Lisbon, like in the first community that we went to in Montague, we didn't get to stay with families. We were housed in the school.
That's why initially I said there are organizational challenges.
Challenges.
Lisbon was an outlier for some of us because for us, for the three we have gone to, that is in
Brazil.
Rio, that's in Brazil, in Krakow, in Poland, and then in Panama, we stayed with families during the mission days. Yeah. So the reason why the Vatican wants us to stay with families is essentially for us to learn, as I said earlier, their faith, their culture, their food, their way of living. What they do. So there are some things that you would learn from the family, and it is not as if. So we actually stay in their houses. So again, you select a diocese. So let's say if Accra was hosted, for the mission days, the diocese of Accra is not part. No one can select the diocese of Accra because that is where we all move in. So basically, what we would do is that maybe a parish in the US would want to select the archdiocese of Kumasi. Then now the local team, the archdiocese of Kumasi, would now check their number and then link them to a parish. So it's the same with Seoul. I mean, I don't know the dioceses in, I mean, in South Korea, but then for the mission days, you cannot choose the archdiocese of Seoul. I mean, if they have that, you cannot choose that. What you have to choose is the other diocese. So you go and for about 4 days or 5 days, you stay with them, and look, the people are really welcoming, and that's where you see true love. Look, they open their homes for you, they open their church for you. I mean, they go that extra mile. Look, you do not want. I mean, look, they show you pure and genuine love. And you also, I mean, attend masses, attend. In fact, in Sao Paulo, that's the first time I saw, I think, a parish with their catechism facilities online. I mean, computerized, and then there's a library. So the catechism is serious business.
In 25th.
Yes.
Shots fired.
And I go like, where would I find this in my country? I mean, with a parish having that seriousness in terms of catechism where they are learning it online. There's a library, you can borrow the books and send them. I mean, we also, I think, in Sao Paulo, I think in one of the cemeteries we went to, I think they do the burial in a wall. Yes, in a wall kind of setting. Yes, if I remember my memory serves me right. Look, we went to another place and I remember one lady, Nanette. I mean, she virtually was in tears. And I mean, that's the main reason for the for the mission days. They had this $1 restaurant where the food is not so much of the quality. And I mean, when we got there, we literally couldn't eat the food. But here is a man who comes and buys the food and is eating so quickly. And I let burst into crying. So we later asked her, she was like, she was feeling sad because we're looking down on the food. And this is something that is the Kempinski for the guy. But we have come in, it's like, oh Charlie, how for this food yeah. So I mean, these are the kinds of experiences that I mean the organizers would want you to have with the community. Then on the so mostly you arrive on a Wednesday, on a Tuesday, or a Monday, through to Sunday, and then on the Sunday into Monday, we are all supposed to leave our various dioceses and move into the city that is hosting it. Uh, so at these places, I mean, the accommodations you can get is you can sleep in the school, you can even sleep at train station if you joke. Again, I mean, there's a family hosting, but for that one, you may not be under a parish necessarily. You could, I mean, because they make announcements and even Muslims open their homes for you. I mean, those who are in Madrid will tell you that look, the Muslim homes that they slept in. I mean, it becomes virtually a kind of a national affair. Look, if you don't have the backing of the state, you cannot host the world. That's why you would always find presidents at the final mass coming. I mean, the countries that are hosting it next, with the presidents of the countries fly into where we are. I don't know about Poland, whether the president of South Korea was, but I think the president of Poland was in Panama. So I mean, this is basically what the world is about. So then when we move into the city hosting it, that's when the Holy Father now comes. So the Holy Father now will come on a Tuesday. And then on that Tuesday, for instance, there'll be the welcome mass. So I mean, whilst we are trying to settle in the Tuesday, we have the welcome mass in the evening. It's hosted by the, the bishop of that diocese or the archdiocese. Wednesday in the morning. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have what we call the catechesis. So then different bishops and cardinals would come to where you are. And they normally group us So then you realize that, I mean, for the church where you are, there are Ghanaians, there are people from the US, there are people from Canada. I mean, those who can speak English, we are all put
So
get
maybe
into our
just to add to that, like then even though the Asians have been complaining about it, World Day has 5 official languages. So it's English, French, Spanish, Italian, and then Portuguese. So usually grouped according to the languages. So that's why maybe because of the English speaking, we usually have the Americans, Indians, Canadians, like so people who speak
dealing with us.
English, yes.
Yeah. And then even on the Wednesday, so we were looking, let me say throughout the period, because in registering, there's a confessional ground that they set up. They always give it different names. I've forgotten. They could call it the Garden of Mercy. I mean, yeah. So
Based
priests
on the
are
theme for
yes.
the World Day.
So priests are assigned there. So at any point in time, you can go there and confess. So if you are the type, I don't know if all the priests in your diocese knows
Like you.
No, but you can't wait till then. Just go to
yeah.
another place. That's like 3 or
But I
4
like
years.
anytime I travel out, I always try and do confession. Yeah. Anytime I travel out.
It means when you're here.
Yeah. So I mean, on the Thursday, for instance, then we'll have the is it a welcome mass? No, it's not a mass.
The
So
opening
the Pope,
ceremony.
the
Opening
opening ceremony,
ceremony.
yeah, the Pope comes, and then on the Friday afternoon
Stations of
we have the Stations of the Cross with the Pope, and then Saturday morning we'd walk to where that kind of walks. I remember that it's not easy. And for those walks, so you actually walk to
and when you
a
have
prepared,
geographic challenges.
yes, I mean a prepared kind of a park, which could be about 50 acres, 60 acres. That is prepared for us to be there to spend the night or the following day. So in the evening of that Saturday, the Holy Father comes for us to have
The vigil.
for
Yeah,
the
so it's
vigil,
basically like adoration.
yeah,
Then there
adoration.
may be some concerts and
So
other
yeah,
things.
They have sound systems for that.
Yes.
yes. That's why I told you that look, if you don't, because look,
You need the
we're
backing of
talking
the
about
state, everybody.
60 acres, 70-acre land. So just imagine.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Don't be smart. Can never be Ghana.
Please don't say that.
Oh, we
Why
can.
not?
We can.
We've used all our money to build. And we'll continue using all our money on cement. We don't have money for these things. So that was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw the US.
Think about it, because all of those things bring in money. Like if you are looking at it.
Right, because when they come, they'll spend in your economy.
Because even while people are there like this, like the washrooms, like so many washrooms all around. And then once it's all night, people are selling food all over.
Because the Saturday we are sleeping.
Yeah, you're literally sleeping.
So we
Yes.
sleep on the park till the
So-
following day on Sunday when we have the closing mass with the Holy Father. So I mean, it's a beautiful experience.
And it's a Sunday the moon right? Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes. Yes. So we don't pass. I mean, we don't pass.
Hey! So if you bath Saturday morning,
The next time we back will be
back,
when you
yeah.
get back.
Yeah.
to-
and that walk, I mean, so I mean, when we are going, we virtually pack everything. And I mean, they'll give you food. When you're getting closer to the place, you'll
But
be
it's
given
still mostly canned items. I still have
Yes.
some sausage.
Hey! Angela, it takes you through the period. So, I mean, as you said, there are canned foods and biscuits.
More for Garinko.
Oh, yes,
people
some
do take.
people do take.
And then people will take it to the park. So, I mean, you can have that. Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing you are giving till the following day. You have mass. Look, it's stressful. Even at times to even get to the place, that's the Saturday. The train stations will be choked up. I mean, look, it's and people even pray during the time when we are walking all the way to the place. I mean, of course, when you have Angela and the rest, you pray. But 2016, I don't think I saw her pray. But 2016, the work we did, I'm telling you, we left our room like
2016
7.
we're lost.
Charlie, you get missing.
We're lost.
We saw a gate B. I think we're supposed to be at B or so. So wanted to use the shop. They said, "Oh no, we're going to use gate A." Look, that gate A will work there. It's not. It's look. Looking at describing to you, it's like using the N1 from Malam Junction to the end of the motorway times 2.
Hey,
And yes, that's the kind of work we are doing.
Times 2.
Times 2.
From Amoto.
End of
No, because we left our rooms like 7, 8. And we got to the ground at 5:30.
Huh.
So imagine the work we have done. It's not as if we have picked any car or anything. No. I think we picked the train to a point. And then from that point, look, we go missing. So now look, and you see A and it's in a direction, you think that you're almost there. No, you lie. You are still walking.
Yes.
But I mean it's a beautiful experience. If you are not signed up well for
Yes.
you to go, you will go and be complaining.
if you think it's a vacation, you
Yes,
It's
yes, yes,
exactly.
yes, yes, yes. I
Exactly.
think
So
that was
but for us in Accra here since 2016, we decided to add other places. So in 2016, when we were going to Krakow, for instance, I mean, we were lucky the bishop then we spoke to him that look, we wanted to visit Rome before going to Krakow, and he gave us the chance. So we went about 4 or 5 days earlier and did a bus trip of 27 hours to Poland. So then
it
we
was an
went to
amazing experience.
So then we went to Czech Republic, we went to Austria. I think before we got to Poland. In 2019, we got the chance to visit the US after Panama. So again, we spoke to Bishop Amboko. They allowed us to, and we spoke to the American embassy, and I went to the US. I mean, that's what people. You see, again, it gives you the chance. Now people have 5 years experience through this. In I mean,
This
they
one.
just ended one. Went through
This was
Rome,
Rome and then France.
Lutz in
Lutz.
France.
people did that one.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
a few
Oh,
people
No,
did
we're
it.
just about 4 people.
Yes.
So, and this was like a 3-country tour.
But in
Yeah.
2016, I think we're about
For 64
64 only from Accra.
to
And I mean,
Rome.
for the whole Ghana, we're about 130 plus, 150 plus, I think so, yeah. But you see, these numbers you say, wow, but look,
it's nothing. Yeah.
compared to, look, the Americans can't tell you the exact number they came with. But for them, they come in terms of parishes. And in terms of, even dioceses, you may not meet them as a diocese, you meet them as parishes. Because if they say they are coming together as a diocese to come, I mean,
Unless they charter planes upon planes.
the Spanish will come in their numbers, the Italians will come, the Philippines will come. Look, and if you say they are coming in their numbers, they are coming in about 5,000, 6,000, 7,000,
Nah, they're 130.
130. And even that, I think, has been our highest so far.
So the last one I wanted to ask the last one, how many were we?
Oh, we were about
I think the
25 or 30.
from Ghana.
So less than that.
it was less than that because
but I
there were
think
like 14 of us from
it was-
Accra and then
it was basically because of visa challenge.
just
Otherwise, I think
it
we
should
would
have
have
been a higher
had,
number.
yes, I think we would have had about 100.
Kofi, I think at this point you can come in because I know you.
The thing is that I was on the discussion before Lisbon. And we had our spare time. We were hoping that people would go and all that. But it seemed people were disappointed. People were disappointed with their visas. And would you be able to take us through what the challenges were? Because I think some people.
Now, what man oh yeah, then say you come to say that we didn't do a good work. Can I say why are you being all now?
Oh no, that
Someone can say we
because I
didn't
was
do a
on a
good.
discussion with them. I know the one who did Kokoti.
Hey,
That's
what?
he went to Jirega everything. I mean, I think that the whole though you were behind the production and I mean you were faces.
No, but if anything, Charles was part of the original committee.
Yeah, that's why I left it to him because I'm part. So if there's any
You see, from after COVID,
I think a lot of things.
it's been, yeah, I mean, a lot of things have changed. Now, securing visas are very difficult after COVID.
And you know, our
Again-
experience was even better than some other African countries,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I mean,
Like it's a whole African problem. So I think there've been some discussions about
in 20,
having like an African World Youth Day, since it seems to be a universal
yeah.
problem.
I mean,
Because
in
when you
20,
even look at journal articles that are written, usually they lump Africa and then I think the Oceania and other places together, because we always have the least numbers.
proud to the World Youth Day we had. So they normally have a meeting for the leaders and coordinators from every country. So I was at the meeting, and the delegation that was supposed to go from Ghana, official delegation from Ghana, both were refused. Yeah. So I mean, it's become that difficult because again, you realize, I mean, every country is struggling, and now a lot of our people now want to move there. So it's become very challenging again. You see, for
And I think around that time, illegal migration was a big thing across Europe. It was a big discussion that
It's even not gone. I think you guys have seen that news item about Ghana's Paralympic team that turned out not to be the
not to be.
Paralympic team,
Yeah.
and then
So you see, because of our let me say, let me choose my words well, but I mean, because of our not too good experience that the embassies have had, I mean, with us, it's now when the genuine ones go,
we suffer.
it becomes very difficult.
So now what we want is, I think people want an explanation to how Lisbon went, and the preparation, what went wrong, what we have learned, what we should do better. Because I don't think that's where it's going to end. It's not going to end at Lisbon. Because I am going for.
to South Korea.
I'm really.
Okay,
So
So
but
let's do
I
that
think
briefly, and then we'll revisit that.
in maybe since this is not an official platform, right? Because we are here in individual capacities, right? So maybe from personal experiences, right, we can share some thoughts, but I think this is definitely maybe something that might have to be taken up perhaps in other more official quarters. What do you think? Okay, so what I would share would be that just as Charles has mentioned that these things are always very unpredictable, right? Unfortunately, like it or not, because I was sharing with you guys that last year I was supposed to do 4 trips to Europe, right, including the World Youth Day. For each one, I had to apply for a visa. Imagine the inconvenience and things that come with that. And then for every single trip, right, there is no guarantee that you are getting it. I think for the first one, I was going for a fellowship meeting, like in Bern in Switzerland. So they had to send the details. And guess what? For the Swiss embassy, this is so annoying that the people who are inviting you actually have to send the invitation letter to the embassy before you even submit your documents, because they want to be sure that you're actually going there, right? With all of those things, you have to print out your bank statement. So, which means that if you don't have a bank account, if there's no money in your account, right? If you are not employed, because you have to attach like your employment letter to it. If you're a business person, that's also another thing, because then you now need like your bank statements and things like that. And unfortunately, it's very subjective because the person hasn't seen you, is not likely to meet you, and is going to decide based on the documents you submit that, okay, I think this person is actually going for the event that they are going for, and they are going to come back for that. And then all of the embassies are different. It becomes so difficult because for my I think my third trip, right, that was also back to Switzerland, was a conference that I was going for. I was presenting and my paper had been accepted. It was being funded, but we just even couldn't get a date. So finally, the people had to write. We had to send emails before the thing was literally done. I think I literally submitted my documents the Friday before. I got it the Thursday when I was leaving on the Friday. Like that's just how inconvenient it can be. So now imagine when for a lot of our situations, maybe you are raising funds on your own, right? Maybe like your bank, you are not formally employed. Perhaps you are running your own business. You do have some of the documents, but the person looks at it and is like, this is your business that you are running. I don't think that your documents show that. And then sometimes even the visa application form itself is so cumbersome. Like you could literally make a mistake. I think for another trip that I had to go for a meeting in the Netherlands like in March. I submitted the documents. I usually send my form after I've completed it to Charles. Even he didn't catch it. I got there and then I realized it was the person who was collecting the documents who pointed it out to me that I I had made a mistake with the return date. And that's because I think I kept making mistakes because it's usually like a form that you are completing in PDF. So, and with that, I had paid for premium, and he was showing me that this was a mistake you made. So, imagine if he hadn't seen it and he had sent the documents, they could very well have refused it because I made a mistake with that date because they are looking for things like consistency. And then the form is so cumbersome that especially if it's a new one that you are completing, because when I was doing my PhD like this, every time I'm traveling with my supervisor, I imagine she did her PhD in the UK, but every time, so it meant that she had done a lot more traveling than I had. But every time we are going, we'll go through the documents, like she'd complete, we'll look at it, um, maybe what might be missing, so that there's always somebody who is cross-checking that. But then I think that, um, especially for this particular one, right? Like I'm just talking maybe for myself that okay, I remember that for instance when I was completing my documents, some of those who were applying for to go as volunteers had gone, they had gotten an earlier date and I had gone. So then I asked for someone's form, sat down, completed my documents, right, sent it to Charles for his review, and then look at it again before I put it together and then went to submit. Maybe I cannot speak for everyone, right? And then I think for this particular one too, there were a lot of different challenges with people. So sometimes, let's say somebody is has some kind of employment, but it's not very formal. So then all of those things create challenges, and of course those ones that you just can't explain because if you look at Linus's case like this, he's the committee chair. He's a lecturer in a public university in Ghana. If you are say talking about social and economic ties, he's married with children, yet he was still refused. Like, what explanation do you give to that? Two siblings from the same household, parents are wealthy, right? Because one of them was actually like he's in an international school as he went to. So one of the few people who is learning Spanish in Ghana because he was very helpful when we went. Two of them, one is refused, one is accepted. Same family. So it's not that you are saying that, okay, maybe the parents' bank statements weren't strong enough. It's the same parents. So then why was one accepted? Why was one refused? So there are just maybe a lot more questions than answers that like we may have. But that's from my personal experiences. So I don't know if maybe Charles might also want to share since he also completed those. Sorry, Charles.
We are not afraid of violence, are we?
I should know about that.
Okay, so this is what I will say.
Okay.
What I'll say is this. When the committee began working, right, we're working a lot with this man sitting here. Somewhere along the line, we grew horns and decided that we don't need this man sitting here. And what we didn't realize is that the wealth of experience that he had, we were losing that. That's what we didn't realize. Because after this whole fiasco happened and I had a private conversations with him, and he was asking about the process of our document submission. That's when I saw that we slacked. Like, we should have been that meticulous in submitting our documents. But then we felt, oh, we are going under a certain umbrella. Oh, we took things for granted. And it's all because of that decision to sidestep somebody for one reason or another. And then that's what led to the whole fiasco. Because to me, I think that we wouldn't have faced the level of rejections that we had if Charles was still on board. That's the truth. It's because
you were sidelined. I see a lot of sidelining happening.
Right now I'm feeling very sidelined. So I think that maybe in as much as yes, Charles's experience was very much valued, but I think it was always available for anybody who asked for it.
But the fact that he was sidelined,
Yes, he
and
was
you
silent,
see,
and there
these
was
days, when someone puts you on the side like that, and
No, but no, even then, Charles, were there not so many? Did you not still help with let's say even preparing introductory letters for people and things like that? Yes, at no point, like yes, maybe officially as a committee, things might have gone a certain way, but he was always available.
No,
And
well,
he
so
was
let's
available.
let's do this. You mentioned Charles, right?
Hmm.
Charles is nowhere far. He's right here.
Hmm.
Charles, highlights where she's mentioned from her perspective where we went wrong with our international pilgrimage, the very recent one, Lesbon. Highlights what are the challenges from your perspective as well, and then going forward, what we can do better. We want to quickly do that and then come back to the topic of the pilgrimage.
Oh, okay. So you see, when one wants to travel, I always say, you see, when I speak to someone who wants to travel, let's say when I speak to you, that's where you want to go to, tell me where you are. I can do a fair assessment to know whether you be granted or not. I mean, truth be told, I mean, some of the people who came on board, it was difficult for anyone to do anything for them. I mean, Angela outlined some few things which are very key. I mean, if you want to travel, I mean, people come, they don't even have bank statements, or their bank statements are not that. I mean, for them to believe that, oh, this person has enough funds to come back. And look, we sometimes say, oh, but we are being sponsored by A or B, or I'm being sponsored by my parish. I'm being sponsored by this. No, now the embassies want to know what you are also doing. So what to bring you back to Ghana? So I mean, if you do not have, and look, the aside uh, inconsistency in filling the form, one key thing why you be refused this is your social and economic side. So what is bringing you back to your country? And look, you should know that they have seen a lot of our tricks we do. Look, if someone wants to travel, the person can be patient for about 1 year and build a system in such a way that when they present it to them, the person will still not come back. And so they've seen all. They've seen people go and register companies just because they want to travel. So now, I mean, if you are going as a self-employed person, then you are not including your tax clearance and your SNIT and the rest. For them to see that you are running a proper business here, if you just make a photocopy of your company registration form and add it, and then print your bank statement, because they know that look, we can take 1 year, we can be that patient to build a statement for 1 year and present it to them because we want to go and not come back. Look, they've seen a lot of our tricks. And so you need to do more to prove to them that you would come back. And bear in mind, the exception of the US and Germany and I think a few countries, most of the countries you submit your document. The person is judging you based on what is
In front
before
of
him or
him.
her.
Yeah.
So I mean, as you said, if you book an accommodation, you're a male, the accommodation says it's female accommodation, straight away the person will refuse you. Because it means that you cannot the place you said you are going to sleep, you cannot actually go and sleep there. You find someone who has traveling experience, the person has been refused. It's basically because look, the person did one or two basic mistakes. There was one lady that I mean that was part of this our trip, and for her, basically it was her parents that were sponsoring her. But we had to go that extra mile to prove to the embassy that look she'll come back. This is someone who has just gotten employment, but the person doesn't have a, a employment letter. Of course, she's done her medicals. So we made sure we added it to it. Explained it to them that look, this person has been but has only done medical. Now had to the parents
mean, the parents are well to do, so the parents now have to write. I mean, and all this, you may think that the introductory letter and sponsorship letter, oh, you just write no, oh, I'm sponsoring this person, blah blah blah. It's not that straightforward. Uh, you need to really convince the person that look, there's no, I mean, why would I want to go and stay in your country when I'm okay here, when my parents, when I stay with my parents, they still take care of me, they have the means of taking care of me. And I mean, so you realize that, I mean, you need to do more to convince the people that, look, the person will come back. But look, anytime I meet people, I tell people that, look, even if even if you get some thousands, 2,000, 5,000, even if someone has given you 5,000, oh, hold it for me. The following day, I'll come for it. I always say that pass it through your account. Just go and pay and let it reflect in your account. And the money. Come. Build, you see, we don't build all these things. And we just get happy. Now, even students, they don't believe us. One of those is that, oh, when you're in your second, third year, they'll definitely grant you a visa. Look, last 3 years, medical students have this exchange program. And there's a hospital inviting four, four students to come in Germany. And they granted 3 people based on the invitation. And the fourth person was refused. And one of the reasons was that the invitation that she submitted is fake. But you have granted 3 people based on the same invitation letter. Luckily, the German embassy, you can appeal directly to them. Because the Italians, you need to get a lawyer to fight your case. You should know that by the time you are done,
Now,
the program may be over. I have one client like that. He went through the process and the court in Italy reversed the decision of the embassy here. That, I mean, you had no justification in refusing the lady. If it's a Holland embassy, you need to send the appeal to Holland. By the time it will come, the program is over. After that, they would even overturn it. It's another way. Yeah, so I always tell people that, look, if you are traveling, you let an expert just look at it. You may have just made, I mean, you realize that your flight itinerary, the time period you stayed there, flight itinerary, together with what you will state on your form, together with what you state on your insurance must all be the same. But you see that someone has a different flight itinerary. Okay, your departure is the same. You're coming back is that date. Now, when it comes to filling the form, your departure may be the same, but your coming back is different. Your hotel booking you have done has inconsistency in terms of the date. All these things are reasons why you will be refused. And so there are times people will know that, oh, but I did everything. Me with my experience, if you come and you tell me you did everything, blah blah blah, I know you have made a mistake. Come on. Especially if you don't let at least an expert look at it. Ensure that look, the dates are consistent. All right. So
Okay, let me give you a funny recent experience I had. So in April, I was supposed to go to the US for a meeting. It was just a renewal because my visa had expired in January, but because I was traveling in March, I was like, it would be too close to do that. So I went and came back. So it was quite close. I had I had my flight itinerary, I had booked it. Somehow, I think I didn't quite understand the instructions because I had consulted with Charles and he was like, oh, if it's the US, you can just submit, like you just need an address, right? But because I was going for an event and especially I had those things, I should just have attached it. It was extra painful because I stayed up all night, did it, realized I had made a mistake with my passport number, had to do it again. And someone who I was sick too. After doing all that, guess what? I didn't attach the invitation letter because it was a high level meeting I was going for. They even had a website that they had the names of the people, but it was only later I saw that. So I didn't attach the invitation letter. I didn't attach my flight itinerary. I didn't attach the what's the name, my hotel booking. I just put in the other things, went to submit. Hey, this thing was delayed. everybody else who is going has got their visas. I kept following up. I actually went to camp there one afternoon. Like they just said it was under investigation. So I think I had to reach out. Then somehow my dad knew somebody who knew somebody, and they went to follow up and they were like, oh, the way my documents were submitted, because I didn't attach those things, it looked suspicious. So guess when I finally got my visa? Long after the meeting was done.
Wow.
The only good thing was that in the office we had booked a refundable ticket. So they were able to cancel it. And then for the hotel, I hadn't paid anything. So I just had to tell them that like it was just cancelled. It was just a renewal. Oh. It was not the first time. But because I didn't attach those things, they considered it suspicious. And then since they weren't going to refuse, they decided to just delay it in the name of investigation. And then I got the visa later on.
So now we've come to know the challenges that comes with the international
Yeah.
pilgrimages. Not to say we can't go, or we have to be very meticulous about our
Yeah.
application and all that. We'll come back to our pilgrimages. We want to know how the two of you have been to a couple of the international pilgrimages. We want to know briefly how these pilgrimages have impacted your faith as Catholics. Has it has it been just another traveling experience for you, or it's actually impacted, and how has it impacted your faith? Increased or maintained, or however
Yeah,
it
wrapping up.
is? Yes. We'll be very brief because we are wrapping up.
Okay.
Oh, yes. I mean, you can't have these encounters and don't come back and honor. I mean, I have met people on this world you day. I mean, of course, for me, I always say, well, I don't know, but even if I'm not going to anybody, I don't think such. I mean, my faith will be. But I mean, the people I'm in the course of interviewing them out to the world you day. See, I mean, and some of them are plain when they come in. You tell them, oh, for the church, I mean, they are just in it. Their faith is. I can say for the Holland trip, about two ladies I know, their faith was. But look, after they visited Rome, they realized that. I remember my former parish priest, and I thought, you need to make Rome like the way
Yeah. Every Catholic
Christ.
has to go.
I mean, you'd appreciate what we have. You'd understand your church more. You realize that everything has its right. And after getting into the world you and you realize how people are very serious with their faith. Look, I mean, people do not joke. I mean, like the way maybe small thing, then we are tired here, then we are. No, they come for these catechism and they sit on the floor. I mean, will you go to church and your church is full and decide to sit on the floor? You do it. But for them, when they come, look, they will sit on the floor. Their focus is what they are coming to get. And for me, look, with what you go through throughout that almost 2 week period, for me, I don't think you should come back the same. I mean, you should come back energized. You are someone who is not. I mean, my sorry, Nyan fast won't feel so. Ah, whilst I mean, your face, so that you see when someone looks at it, it encourages someone else to also want to. I think maybe next time we may also have to look at funding, finance. What look, these people know this are expensive. But if you want to go to Seoul, Southwest, right now, you let me be even $500. Multiply that by even 15. Even if it's 3,000. You let's say even if it's 15 times 3.
Yeah.
What do you get?
45.
45. That's 45,000 Ghana cedis.
Mm.
What, what's the average you going to get? That's all. And be surprised, look, these people who come from the other countries in their language, they're not sponsored by their parishes. my little interaction with them is safe towards it. So look, I can tell you that parishes in the US, in Italy, and I mean in these countries that have started projects that fetches them money. So there was this lady I met, Fisher. What did I meet her? I think in Poland, she's in the US. When they got back, within a year or a year and a half, they had finished raising their funds for Panama.
Oh,
Because they would sell pastries, they would do car wash, and because parishioners know that they are doing it because they are raising funds for the next one, they even give them more. The family I stayed with in Rio, so from the mission days, were to move to the main world unit. So even with those in the country, they need to register registration fee. The family we stayed with, one of the kids, I think the man's first born was born. The man was telling us that the boy had to go and work in a bus and train station for him to raise his money to go. Because for him, what he's basically giving you is shelter, he pays your fees, he will give you food. The vacation and everything is
it's
on you.
you.
So the guy also wanting to go had to go and work, make money to be able to go. I think we should be able to start some kind of savings towards worldview days. If we wait till the 11th hour, it becomes very expensive. Look, if you have even raised 60% or even 50% of the amount you need, and you go to people for help, the other 50% but with zero,
Zero. Yeah.
and you want the church to sponsor you, the revenue coming in, 50,000.
Okay, so I think when we used to have Worldly Day diaries on Radio Angeles, we had Francisco. You know, I think he has also attended 3 Worldly Days, and 2 of them he was
But mine is
sponsored.
full.
Yes, we know yours is 4, but Francisco has attended 3. 2 were sponsored. I think one was for the logo design for the 120th anniversary. The other one was for the 125th anniversary. But when he was going to Poland, he actually paid on his own. And he shared with us like very beautiful experiences about maybe having his susu box and then consciously deciding. It was very funny. For example, he would say that.
want to see the funding part is very interesting. I think that we'll have to delve into it properly
Okay, so
in
just
subsequent ones. But we want to we are wrapping up, so we want to finish on the faith bit of it, and then we wanted to say
No,
something.
no, no, no.
Okay, so I think for me, right, there was a time that I went through like a faith crisis. It was a lot of different things that um, all came together, school, like so many other things. But um, I've always been, think very much like a Divine Mercy devotee. So for me, my very first Worldview Day to going um, to Rome and then to um, like to Poland to um, should I say literally the seat of Divine Mercy. Um, it was very much like a faith strengthening exercise for me. Like that was the that's one of the things that I would share with that. And then I think I had like a very interesting experience there as well. So like the word of knowledge gift. So for example, Jesus tells them that go to the city, like, and then you will meet a man, and then you tell him that the master has need of this, or sometimes knowing about a certain thing. So I think the day before we left, right, I had gone for mass. Some of our team members had left earlier. They had an earlier flight, but we were supposed to stay. So one of my roommates, Francisca, she was leaving, so I went to see her and came back, and then I went for a Polish mass. It was in Polish, so of course I couldn't understand anything. Then while I was there, I was sitting at the back. Like I literally had a sense. A girl walked in, so she was African. I had a sense to tell her after mass that God loved her, right? And I think I always have a fight with God about this. And so I'm like, you want me to go and look like a fool in front of this girl? I go and I tell her that, and she's like, who are you? Why are you saying this? Yes. So I was like, are you sure? So, but then it just wouldn't go away. So then after mass, I went and I did tell her that, and then like she burst into tears. So that meant that it was something that she really, really needed to hear. I think there are always maybe a lot of other similar experiences, but this was one that stood out for me that I just wanted to share. Like from the faith perspective, I think maybe from the social perspective, Charles has shared about those ones already in terms of literally opening up your horizons and then so many other things.
Well, thank you so much, Charles and Angela. It's been great. For some of us, pilgrimages have been local pilgrimages to Pedu, and I think basically Pedu. But
So you don't go for holy hour, you don't go for go to mass.
oh, I do, but
So those ones are also
those
pilgrimages.
are
Those are
I'm saying
in
pilgrimages.
Accra. Those are local.
The
There's
ones
no
that
travel.
Then please, I hope you guys are planning to go for the World GD Ghana version.
So
Yeah.
the other pilgrimages I was looking at, but it's been big ups to the.
Yeah, so I think you should
I think you guys should really go for the Ghana version.
get more content.
Well,
You mean a CSM? Oh yes, yes, yes. He will be there. CSM
my
will be there.
chairman will
Yeah.
plan on that one. But yeah, so we spoke about pilgrimages today. Charles, we want to see a few things.
No, I think they've yeah.
So yeah, we would have another session on what do you do in its totality and look at what you can do best to get the youth of Ghana, Accra to go for what you did in their numbers. For now, it's been a wonderful discussion with Angela and Charles. Thank you so much for coming. Please do want to follow us on all our social media handles at Connect for Social Media on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We are on X formerly Twitter. Yeah, Twitter. Scarlet Vibes GH. Yeah. Thanks to all our crew members, to Louise, to Rita, to executive producer, Charles Edia Kusi. So I guess my name is Kofi Tagbo. When we say CSM, we say vibes, right? CSM
Vibes.
vibes.